All right, we're here with 7th place ARG Corpus Team Meta Club squad member Marco.
There you go.
Tell us what you played, man.
Alright guys, I'm going to show you a deck profile of the deck I took to States. I played starter deck Goku leader. Very consistent leader. I like it. The awakened side, pretty much broken. Basically, for you guys who don't know what he does, on the unawakened side, when he attacks, you untap 1 blue energy. And when you hit 4 life or less, you flip him over awaken. On the awakened side, when he attacks, he basically retaps 2 blue energies, and then obviously the auto for when you attack, you draw. So for the main deck, we're gonna start off with 4 energy boosted Majin Boos. Consistency reason, that's what he's there for. Probably the best 1 draw for draw power. Next up, we got the 4 Piccolos. That's very self-explanatory. We got the 3 Coercions. I always butchered that name. And we got the 3 Jockos. So before, I used to run 4 Coercions, and I was just side the Jockos to then, have other cards in, like the 3 combo, was it Raging Spirit Son Goku, and then as well as, one second, we ran 3 Sensus. So before, we had 4-4-4. The reasons I put in the Jocko, I had one of my good players from Cytex. He highly recommended me to run the Jockos because of the diversityness, against like Vegeta players or anything that can go all in, pretty late game, man. I really wanted the Jockos in the main deck. I just had no idea what to take out. So essentially, I looked at all my defensive cards, which is pretty much what we listed right now, including the Piccolos, but Piccolos are mandatory at 4 for obvious reasons. So I just made the decision to take 1 of each out and pretty much put into Jockos, which I'm very thankful for because in States, they did best of 1s until you got to top cut, and Jockos pretty much literally just stole me a game against a Vegeta player in round 2. He tried to double strike me. He only comboed with 1, which was the double strike Champa onto his leader. Jockoed it back to his hand. It's just 1 combo card because I put me at 15 to his 10. He did it once again. I had another Jocko. So Jocko pretty much saved me from 2 critical hits that was just very easy to save myself from. And as mentioned, we run 3 of the Gohans and then 3 of the Sensu Beans. A lot of people might say I should be running 4, which I can agree with, but as mentioned, I really wanted to run the Jockos and the deck space was tight. Continuing on, we ran 3 results of training. Real good. I had a hard time seeing it a lot of the times. I kind of wish I ran 4, but we'll discuss what changes I would have made to the deck later on, but that's one of the changes. We ran 3 Bomas, 1 Light of Hope Trunks, and then 2 of the 4 drop full power Trunks. I was a really big fan of the Bulma engine. It's just really helped with consistent energy and deck thinning and all that. So I know a lot of people. I ran into a player. He said that him and his teammate, they were testing without the Bulmas and they preferred it. I never really tested without the Bulma because I've always been a fan of it, but I definitely feel like this is a good route to go because you should have very consistent options for energy. Then, excuse me guys, I apologize. In some situations, the full power Trunks, for you guys who don't know, he basically is a triple striker, but he also has a permanent effect where it gives all of your opponent's battle cards block. But in situations where they're all rested or if the field is clear and you see an opening go for the triple strike, it's a very good option. It never came up for me, but diversityness is there. We ran 1 Beerus, and then we ran 3, Returning Evil Golden Frieza, I believe the card is called. So I seen a lot of people, they would run 4 of the Returning Friezas. When I did a lot of play testing, I always got in a situation where I never really wanted to use this card. But the downside to that theory was not even theory, in my opinion, was I didn't really do a lot of playtesting against the mirror match like Goku's. I didn't get a lot of playtesting against Golden Frieza. But the one playtesting I was liking the most was definitely Goku. So they said this card shines a lot in the mirror match. And unfortunately, since I didn't do that much testing against the mirror match, I wasn't able to fully experience its true potential. But I didn't want to take it out. I really felt like if it stayed in there, it would help me in the mirror match. So I didn't run 4. I opted to run 1 Beerus to give me more options for popping and field control and everything, and also because of the 4 energy. Obviously, we'd rather use 4 energy instead of 5, but in late game, as mentioned, this is a really good card. Another reason why I decided to run the Bears, I think I ran, let me see. Yeah, I ran 3 determined Gohans. I didn't run 4. I ran 1 Bears for 1 to double strike in late game, and 2 just to keep myself open to more options if I ran into a Cell player. My biggest fear this weekend was Cell, and fortunately I did not play a single Cell player, which is very amusing. But so that's one of the reasons why I played the Bears. Late game double strike, and also another option to get rid of the 7-drop cells, just in case I got Cell chained. Going on to the green cards, we ran 3 Bundle Curiosity Gokus, more draw power. We ran 3 of the Determined Gohan as mentioned, and we ran 3 Kales. Now, I told all my friends, Kale is just one of those cards. If you run green, you run 4 of it. If you run red, you run Jirens, and so forth. Somehow, I ended up deciding to run 3 because I decided to run a 3rd Determined Gohan over the 4th Kale because of my fear of Cell players. I wanted to make sure I had an answer for the 7-drop. And yeah, I regret not playing a 4th. Let's just put it like that. Don't be that person. Play the 4th Kale. I should have listened to myself before. Even before the event started, one of my friends were also playing starter deck Goku, and he was running 3 Kales. And my good friend Claudio was like, Marco, tell him, do you do not run 3 Kales, you run 4. I looked at him, I said, I'm running 3 Kales right now. That was a mistake. So, guys, make sure you run 4 Kales. The card is too good. It does critical draws when your hand is low, and it pops cards on the field. Too good of a green card. Probably one of the best green cards. One of my favorite green cards in this deck is Gotenks. This is mandatory. You run 4. This card is what allows you to truly put multiple threats on the board each turn. So basically, it's just a 1-drop when your leaders awaken. You know, you retap 2, you retap another 2, 1-drop, double strike, draw 1 card. Absolutely insane. Probably one of the craziest duos in the game. So this card is very self-explanatory if you run this deck. For the last few cards, I ran 3 Time Patrol Trunks and I ran 1 Maxed Saiyan. So before, I ran 4 Time Patrol Trunks because I really wanted to get to the cards, especially results of training, and pretty much to keep my hand count strong, and I guess for the consistency for that matter. But one of my good old friends who also recommended me the Jocko play, he recommended me to play 2 Maxed Saiyans and 2 Time Patrol Trunks. I did test it. It was very good, but I felt like I had a lot of firepower in my deck, so I just wanted to get more consistency through it, but I did not want to lose any extra firepower, like, you know, the free summon of the Maxed Saiyan. So I decided to run the 3-1, and it worked very well. This I pretty much just held in my hand when it was time to go, you know, absolutely take control of the board, or it's just to push in and put a lot of pressure on my opponent. So that's the ratio I ran. So that's the main deck. We'll go to the side deck real quick and explain my ideas between everything. We ran, I cited 1 Maxed Saiyan, you know, for matchups that were about a lot of board control, like the mirror match especially. I will side this in. We ran, I might butcher this guy's name, Rajirobe, I think his name is. And self-explanatory. Well, not really, but basically he came in for any aggro decks, you know, any decks with red or anything like that, you know, to try to slow them down. Probably the best counter to Jiren, one of the best counters. We ran 3 of the Sun Goten Family of Justice. This is for the Android matchup when they tried to drop the promo 17 that doesn't allow you to draw when you awaken. And for any 3-drop, I went against a deck that ran red. He summoned the Unleashed Ability Gohan, I think the card's name, the one that allows you to draw or double strike. It was very good against him because he did a very well job protecting that card. So when this card came inside it in, the card was gone on the field. I was very relieved about that. We ran this 17. I ran him for pretty much Cell players or any type of hand destruction deck. I didn't run into Broly players. I know there was one, I think, that made it to top 4 or the finals actually, top 2. But that's why he was in there. Any deck that pretty much just destroys your hand size. And then this came in, the 1 Sensu Beam, the one Raging Spirit Son Gohan, the fourth Jocko, and the Coercion. So it's just depending on the matchup, these cards will come in. So for the Vegeta matchup, this card adds a lot of pressure to their leader, so that will come in. And then obviously the Jocko. And then other matchups like the Mirror Match will add in the fourth Coercion. And then any decks that runs a lot of 15 hitters, we'll cite in the Sensu Bean. So yeah, and that's 13 cards. The last card I actually ran 2 copies of was, let me see, it's Vegeta Prince of Speed. Now I cited this card because I had this very strong theory. Like I said, guys, I didn't do a lot of playtesting the Mirror Match, so bear with me about my thought process. And the Mirror Match is really all about fighting with resources. So what I mean by that is that we have a set number of board control cards like Determined Gohan, Kales, you know, we have 4 Gotenks that we have to utilize to the max and so forth. So what ends up happening is that when you're going first, you have the advantage of resulting first, but you also have a disadvantage of putting a big body out, like for example maybe a Kale, because you know at that point they'll have like 3 Boos, a Bundle Curiosity, Bomas, and so forth. So you're like, I can knock all those cards out, which is very good. But what ends up happening is your opponent will end up summoning their Kale, and that will destroy your Kale. And then now they're still, if they run 4 Kales, you know, unlike me, I ran 3, which put me at even more of a disadvantage. They still have 4 Kales that they're working with, and you at that point have 3. In my case, I would have 2. So what ends up happening is sometimes the players will play very passive in the Mirror Match, and this is why this card will come in sometimes. So instead of wasting like a Kale or Determined Gohan to lose another card to maintain board control, I would basically summon this first, you know, plus 2 draws, and then you have a double strike hitter on the field, and that's basically what it was. This was just to break the standstill and still get a lot of benefits out of it. What ended up happening was I never signed this card in because the 2 Mirror Matches I did do nearly ended up in whatchamacallit, decking out. So the only time I was able to side in was Top Cut, but this card did not come in during Top Cut. The mirror match I did in the very last round, we almost decked out. We ended up drawing. Was the only draw I got during the whole event. And then in Top Cut, first game, it went back and forth. I managed to beat him with my Jockos. He tried to out-combo me. I was able to save myself. The next game, I was able to push in for game. So I got game 1. And yeah, so he did not come in. Unfortunately, my game plan was not successful, but that was the theory of running 2 Prince of Speed. So to talk about the matchup, let me see. My round 1, I played against a team member. Unfortunately, very amusing because when I saw the matchup list, I saw the name and I was like, oh man, I don't know this guy's name. Perfect, it's not a team member. I start walking up, I see his face. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. That's really your name? Because he goes by a different nickname. So it was kind of a funny encounter. I got extremely lucky in that game. He was completely dismantling me. I could not result at all. I did not see it. I had about 7 to 8 energies before I even resulted. Finally got the results. I awakened. And what ended up happening was he pretty much, like I said, had total control, but he ended up decking out. So that's how I won that game. Very lucky. Good game, Rudy. You know. Round 2, let me see. I played the Vegeta player. That game was a total steal. Thank you to Jocko. Shout out to Paul for recommending me to mating Jockos. Round 3, I believe it was the Frieza player, right?
Frieza.
Yeah, so I played a Golden Frieza player. Very good matchup. His name is Ricardo. Big shout outs to him, man. Really nice guy. That matchup was kind of funny towards the end because we were both at a point where we both thought we had games, so we pretty much tasted blood. So at that point, misplays were happening left and right because we were trying to make one move happen, and we forgot about, like, you know, the consequences of those moves or anything else, and it was just hilarious. And luckily, I walked away with the win. You know, it's just misplays left and right. One of the misplays was I pretty much shotgunned into my Boo, and I comboed with 2 of the Raging Spirit Gohans, and obviously obviously the Raging Spirit Gohan is supposed to come onto the field after they're being comboed with. Excuse me. He survived that combo. I threw the Gohans into the drop area. Yep, big mistake. Lost all the pressure. I was gonna put him on next turn. One of his misplays was he had the 7-drop cooler and a sorbet. And instead of using the cooler's effect to banish the sorbet to summon another hitter and keep the cooler, he pretty much used the freezes effect to get draw power to combo with. And then when he activated the cooler's effect, he banished the cooler itself and lost pressure for his next turn. But I think I won the following turn. But yeah, just misplays left and right. There was more misplays. And then round 4, I played a bounty. Yep. And he was running Mecha Buhan. Absolutely got destroyed. It was my only loss in the tournament. It wasn't even a fair game. He opened double Manaka with objection, and before I even had 3 full energies on the board, he had 5 energies with the 7-drop Buhan that pretty much attacks all my monsters in active mode, and if he wants to, he can inflict damage to me. Once again, I did not see my results of training. He pretty much just ran around me for fun, and I got completely destroyed, point blank and simple. Round 5, I believe it was, I played my good friend Darian. He ran Vegeta as well, one-sided. What came in clutch was, as mentioned before, where is it? I had all three in my deck. I started with 2 nearly, summoned them on the field. He then drew into my 3rd. Summoned that one onto the field. I even got to the point where Golden Frieza, Returning Evil Frieza bounces back to my hand, return one of his cards back into the bottom of the deck, and then next turn I just comboed and then he came out, and it was pretty much a landslide. I had way too much pressure on him, and yeah. And then round 6, that was the mirror match. I played against this guy named Kai. Dope name, amazing personality. I'm super happy that he was my last round. We did the mirror match, and we ended up drawing. It got to the point where we slowly were grinding each other out. We ran into time, and he had 3 lives to my 4, I think it was. I'm not 100% sure, but I looked at his hand size. I looked at his field. I looked at my field. I looked at my hand size, and basically, I knew I could not beat him that game. He had last turn. I knew I cannot beat him that turn. So I basically just passed turn. I did not want to give him any more resources. The way they ruled it was if no one beats each other, it's a draw. They did not do the whoever had the bigger life count. So yeah, so he was trying to kill me. He could not, and yeah, so that ended up in a draw. So going on to top 16, I placed 7th after Swiss. Went, what was it, 4-1-1. Going to top 16, I played a guy named Fred. Very, very good gentleman. Very courteous, well-mannered, everything. Shout out to Fred. You're awesome to play against. It was a mirror match. Starter deck against starter deck. It was pretty even throughout. I feel like he had a good edge on me. But towards the end, he pretty much started attacking me with his leader for life. And I was gaining draws for my life, but I would not attack him. I was refusing to attack him unless it was a critical. And towards the end of the grind, it was an out grind. That's when he comboed into me for game, and I had Jocko's in my hand, and I was able to survive it. And next turn, I put pressure to him. So I took game 1. We went to game 2. Unfortunately for him, our game 2 went into time. Since I had 1 game above him, the way they ruled it was if no one defeats each other, I will walk away with the win since I had a win already. So that's how I won my top 16. That's how I placed top 8. And my top 8 match was against a Buhan player once again. I was a little discouraged. I thought I was going to get destroyed again. But I was like, you know what? Let's see what happens. Let's see how it goes. I lost the first game. I could not result to training again. I could not see it. This is one of the reasons why I kept telling myself I'm going to run 4 from now on. So, yeah, so he won the first game. Second game, I brought in the Rogirobis. They came in clutch. He had this in his side deck. He did not side them in because I don't think he was expecting this. Because in game 3, pretty much this was on board and he had a hard time attacking me. And I was able to, I'm not going to say outgrind, but I was basically able to defeat him because Rogirobi was basically stalling him out. So game 3, we went to game 3. He sided these in. And he pretty much took out one of my Rogirobis. And I think it was a key play of the game because it was pretty much like a stalemate in a sense. And he popped this and he was able to go aggro on me. And that kind of lost me a good position. And put himself in a good position, put me in a bad position. It got to the point where I used a Sensu Bean offensively. I should have kept this defensively, and I'll explain why. I used this offensively because I thought I was going to summon another card to put more pressure on him, but it got to a point where I decided to, you know what, I'm gonna leave my 4 active energies alone, or 4 or 5, and you know, just see what happens from there. And next turn, he summoned the Go Tanks on me, the one that summons 3 tokens, double strike, 15 attack. If I would have had this, I may have been able to survive. Not 100% sure. In the next game, I would have been able to attack for game because he went all in pretty much. He had 1 life. He got double ejections during the game. And yeah, so he tried to go all in. I could not survive the final hit combo piece. I think I was like 10k short. He won that. Really good player. Very skilled. So props to him. But yeah, so that was pretty much my whole experience. My shout out to my team. Shout out to Paul for helping me construct my deck. Shout out to Jared for letting me borrow the Prince of Speed. He let me borrow 2. I greatly appreciate that, even though they never came into play. Shout out to my boy Claudio, my boy Omar, my co-captains that rode with me. Very enjoyable ride, even though we slept for most of the way there and back. But yeah. Shout out to my team, everyone who performed well. Shout out to Daniel. He got top 8 with me. I was very glad that someone else on the team got top 8. We can share the moment together. And yeah, so that's my experience, guys. Thanks.